Hey, Planty people, it's your boy Jordan, and you guys are tuning in here at Kentucky Plant Daddy. Today is going to be our Q&A, question and answer. So I brought 3 plants down here that I'm going to be repotting, and as I do those repots, and I do have a moss pole as well that I'm going to get started for a Philodendron Sodiroi. As we do these projects, I'm going to answer the questions that you guys sent in to me via YouTube or Instagram. So I'll link my Instagram down below right now, and we can do some more Q&As in the future. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first plant that I am going to repot is the Hoya Sigillatis. It's been rooting in stratum for a few months now, and 2 of the cuttings have survived with roots, so we're going to go ahead and get that potted up, and I'm going to get started with the first question. Okay guys, so the first question is from Pretty Foliage. I wrote these down because I'm using my phone to record. And Pretty Foliage says, the intro is stunning. Is it your front or backyard? And what do you love the most about Kentucky? So it's kind of funny because no, that is not my front or backyard. I would have to be a millionaire to own that kind of land in Kentucky, or at least central Kentucky, because Lexington and the surrounding areas, land like that is expensive. I'm from a small part of eastern Kentucky that is kind of poor, unfortunately. I don't want to say it that way because there's great people that live there, but it's an underserved area, and you can own land like that there, but there's not a lot of jobs, so it's a catch-22. So no, when I started looking into doing YouTube, I knew that I wanted to base it around plants, and I wanted to base it around where I'm from, because I do a lot of meetings and have a lot of friends who have helped me get started in plants, and we do plant swaps just like my last video. So it's more like the community aspect of it. And so I kind of wanted to keep it focused around that. Whenever I first started getting into plants, I wanted more involvement and like some people to learn from. And so I knew that I needed those people to be around me close, and this is my home state. I've traveled quite a bit. I was a travel nurse for some years. I went to places like Guam and North Dakota and Texas, and I've worked in West Virginia before, but I love my home state of Kentucky. I know a lot of people kind of side-eye Kentucky because it's so country, and maybe there's like a lot of backwards way of thinking here, but not everybody's like that. It is not the cliche here that you see from like movies. There are very progressive thinking people, especially in major cities like Lexington and Louisville, and so that's my favorite part of Kentucky, is probably just the people that live here, the community. And no, I wish that I owned that property, but I do not. I have maybe a half acre, 0.75 acre land, and I live in like a little brick, well, a 3 or 4 bedroom brick home, depending on how you do the layout. But no, I don't own all that land. It would be nice though. It's hard to pace yourself whenever you're doing something like this, because I'm doing a lot of talking, and I did not so far do a lot of anything else. So I'm just gonna pot up some things. And let's see, the second question. This is from Nat Joy or Natalie. She's one of my YouTube subscribers, and she comments to me all the time on Instagram. She's one of my most active friends that I've met via the internet. And she sent me in a couple questions. The first one is, what is my favorite way or place to plant shop? So I would like to say I just did a plant swap, and meeting all the people local to me like that and being able to get stuff locally is my favorite way of getting plants. Another way that I get plants is the Facebook groups, which is what organizes those get-togethers like you saw in the plant swap video. And typically, if I'm ordering plants from online, I order from planthaventoronto.com. I've gotten really healthy plants from there. I've never had any pest issues, and all my plants from there have survived and thrived in my environment. So I actually only know about them because of YouTube. I watched Wild Ferns video, and I've watched Philly Foliage. There's a guy named Nick who is through there, and they both had recommended Plant Haven Toronto. So that is pretty much my online go-to. I mean, I'm not real big into importing or anything like that. I'm not that deep yet, I don't guess, but also I don't know if I will be that deep. But I get the plants that I want so far. I mean, yeah, sure, there's some wish list plants that I don't have that are not easily obtainable, yeah, but I don't care to wait around and see if they come available. I remember one of my wish list plants was the variegated Alocasia fraudeck, and that became available pretty early, and it's one of my favorite plants. So that leads me into my second question from Nat, and that is that my husband and my pets are out safe. What 3 plants would I rescue from a fire? So, geez, that is hard because you're basically asking me my 3 favorite plants. Okay, I'm going to have to think about it. In the meantime, I'm going to show you guys the Sigillatis cuttings. So there's 2 little root systems in there. And I potted it up in one of my small little net pots that I got from the plant swap. I'm going to leave it like this for now, and I'm going to repot, or not repot, but find it a little cash pot or situation. I'll show you at the end of the video what ends up happening with this plant. Okay, so basically, after thinking it over, I'm going to say the Alocasia variegated fraudeck because that's one of my favorites right now. It's just, I've only had it for maybe 2 months, and it has been so fast growing for me and my conditions, and it's just been a beautiful plant, and I wanted it for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and say that plant because I love it. Also, because I don't have a lot of Alocasia, which I guess I'm acquiring more because I have a few starts that I got at the swap, and then so my collection is growing. However, the second plant that I would choose is probably, might sound lame, but my Marble Queen pothos that I have on a moss pole, and probably because it was my first plant I ever put on a pole. It's, a great plant. It's never going to give me much trouble, I don't think, because it's a epiprimnum. And I have seen Plants by Melissa's Marble Queen on a pole, and it's beautiful. And I know the potential that my plant could look like. So I think that that is why I'm going to choose my Marble Queen as the second plant, which is a super common plant, and I love it. And the third plant would have to be one of my monsteras. I probably love them all equally, but my Tycon, my Monstera albo, and I recently acquired a Monstera aria that's put out its first leaf, which I plan to show you in an updates video soon. But I would say that those are the three plants that I would save in a fire. Okay, so Nat's last question is, how did I meet my husband? It's a funny story, kind of. My husband and I reached out to him on a dating app, and he ignored me. I just figured that I had gotten shut down, like he didn't like how I looked or wasn't interested in me for whatever reason, such is life. I mean, there's plenty of people who would never give me the time of day, or like maybe I would never give them the time of day, sorry. But, so I had messaged him like twice and asked him if he wanted to go to dinner or something, and he had never responded. So I had given up on it, basically. And me and my brother were living in my college town at the time where I went to undergrad. It's a small city called Morehead, Kentucky. And so that's where I went to college, Morehead State University. And Dalton's from that town. It's his hometown. And so basically, my brother and I were running to Walmart for something, and my sister-in-law was with us. And me and my sister-in-law went in, and my brother had like dropped us off at the front. And like we went around the aisle, and when we went around the aisle, I like collided with somebody like face to face. And like once I figured out who it was the guy that I had been messaging on the dating app who had been ignoring me. And so I was like, oh, sorry. And he was sorry. And we went on about our way. And so I hadn't thought about him in a minute, but then obviously bumping into him made me think of him. And so I messaged him again, and he responded, and he said he would go to dinner with me. And then once I asked him about it, obviously it went fine, and we continued to date for years, and we've been married since 2017. But he said that he didn't like my profile picture, that I looked like I was trying too hard, and my eyebrows were really thin at the time because I was going through like I always like do different things. But anyway, so it was like a looks thing, but then he said that when he seen me in person that he thought I was really attractive. So that's good. We ended up getting married. We moved in together after 6 months, and then we ended up getting married after like a year and a half. So we've been together since I think the last day of 2014, because our first date was on New Year's Eve. And yeah, that's how me and my husband met. Okay, so thanks, Nat, for all of your good questions. The next question is from Michelle Monsera from my YouTube channel. And she said, oh my God, your fish tank. Are they guppies? The colors are so pretty, and they all have different variegation. So I think what she's referring to is in one of my videos, my terrarium video, I had taken you to my fish tank because I went to get some moss that I got from my fish tanks. It was like aquarium moss because I used to be really big into fish. It was like one of my early hobbies. And I still keep a few tanks, and I had some moss in it, and I put that moss in my aquarium. But no, they aren't guppies. They're actually betta fish, which, you know, people who get into the hobby pronounce it betta. But I bred betta fish for years and years, ever since I was like a junior high school student. At first, not as successfully. You have to culture live foods and stuff like that. But it's a very hard hobby, and it's even harder to stay in. Like, it's just so time consuming that sometimes you can't enjoy it to its fullest potential, especially if you work and stuff as much as I do or did. But I always will love it, and I'll probably always do, you know, a spawn or two, which just means breed them. But yeah, they do look variegated because the particular strain that you saw are genetically called marble. So there's all kinds of different variations of colors and patterns on marble betta fish. And it is a lot similar to this hobby, and a lot of things intertwine. I already had knew about stratum because I use stratum for my fish tanks. The pH of your water, those types of things. So I didn't expect it to carry over as much as it does, but it does carry over. So, okay, so my second thing that I did while we do the Q&A was I planted this Rhaphidophora, I'd never pronounce it right, Decursive. I had gotten out a prior plant swap as a single leaf cutting, and it was not rooted. It took forever to root, and then it gave me a leaf finally, and then it gave me a second leaf. So that was the last plant swap that I went to. At this plant swap that was just a few days ago, I seen a big, beautiful one, and it was in a horizontal container like this, and it was crawling along the substrate. So that inspired me to get a long container like this and plant mine up like this because it had a good root system finally, and hopefully mine will horizontally crawl just like the one I saw, because it was very striking and beautiful. And I'm going to give it some good light, and we're going to see how this plant looks in a few months. Hopefully it looks as beautiful as the one that I've seen. Okay, so the next and last plant chore thing I'm going to do during this Q&A is to set up a moss pole for this Philodendron Sodiroi. Look how beautiful. Look at this root system. The roots are so pretty. So basically, I've never used a wire pole before, so I'm going to try to do that as well. And we're going to see how well this works out for me. The next question, though, is from She Grows Cilantro. I'm pretty sure that she's from my Instagram. And she asked me 2 questions. The first one is, why did I decide to start a YouTube channel? So, for a couple reasons, and that's a good question. I got into plants really heavy this past year, and I've kept plants on and off, but I've owned my home for just a little while now, and like it's different once you don't live in a rental anymore, because I feel like I can do more permanent projects and work on doing things that I normally would feel like I can't do because I don't own the house, if that makes sense. So the deeper that I got into the plants, the more that I needed information, obviously, about those plants. And so then I went searching for that information, and one of the best ways for me was to YouTube the information. It was like I watched video after video, and that's where I learned, you know, the majority of the stuff that I learned. Then you start thinking stuff like, could I do a YouTube channel? And you question yourself, because it's harder to put yourself out there in this way than like what I anticipated, because I thought about starting a YouTube channel way before I actually did it. And I kept on putting like reasons why I shouldn't instead of reasons why I should. I was like, you know, thinking in my head, which is all silly, but it's like, what would your coworkers think? What would your family think? What would your friends say? Just things like that. And so, I mean, I like to think that I'm a self-aware person, and I've always had adversities in my life that I feel like hopefully in certain ways that I've overcome. And like, you know, starting a YouTube channel is not that, right? Like, you might have big problems in your life, but like, starting a YouTube channel shouldn't be the biggest of deals. But once you like think about it, and you think about putting yourself out there to the public, it gets pretty scary. And so I feel like that I had something to prove to myself that it would be a-okay. And also something not to prove to other people, but just to like make it to where other people's thoughts about me are not the important thing. It's the thoughts about me for myself. And so that's why I started a YouTube channel as far as that goes. And then I already touched on the fact that I wanted to foster more community. I wanted to do more stuff here in Kentucky, here local to me. And I've had a lot of people subscribe to my channel, I think, because I'm from Kentucky and they are too. So I think that that's why I started a YouTube channel. Okay, this will be the last question, and it's also from She Grows Cilantro. And she says, what is your YouTube dream? And am I trying to do YouTube full time or just as a side hustle? So I guess that my YouTube dream is just kind of like that, right? Like I'm not familiar enough with YouTube to know really what my YouTube dream is. I'm just doing what I want to do right now. And that is, you know, not meet people because we're on the internet, but connect with people who also enjoy what I enjoy doing, which is plants and decorating, kind of, and this is like creative to me. And I've never been a creative person, so that's like important, I think. That I'm creative in the fact that, yeah, I am growing something and creating it. Like, this is life. Like, this plant is alive. But also because, like, I can put things on moss poles. I can put things on trellises. You can just do so many different things, and it's really creative. I remember one of the first things I did was just like stake up a Hartley philodendron, and then like I was like, oh my God, it's beautiful. And I felt so creative, which is funny because I've never really felt creative, because a large majority of my life I have hustled, and I felt like I was this little poor boy from Eastern Kentucky, and like I was never going to get an education, and I was never going to do this or that, and I put a lot of things on the back burner that made me happy to get ahead in that aspect of like school. And so whenever I got to indulge in things like this, it made me really happy to do that. And then, so anyhow, I got a little off topic. What my YouTube dream is. So right now it's just to build my channel and to connect with whoever feels so inclined to subscribe, because or connect with me because of my personality, because that's always just nice to do. And then as far as doing this like full-time or part-time, that's like a weird question for me, not like that you asked it, but it's like a hard thing to answer, because the first thing is like I have no idea what kind of, how lucrative something like a YouTube channel would be. Like you have to have 1,000 subscribers before you can monetize your channel at all. And then once you can monetize your channel with 1,000 subscribers, I have no idea how much money that would pull in. So like, I don't know if this would be like a pipe dream to do full time as like a job. But I guess I would have to make similar money to what I made now to even consider it. And then also, like I said, I have to factor in that I gave up so much of my life to focus on education. I did an undergraduate degree in nursing at Morehead State. And so I graduated. First I went to a Votech school, and I graduated with my LPN, and I was a licensed practical nurse for a long time. And then I went back and got my associate's degree in nursing, and I became an RN. And then I went back and got my bachelor's degree. And then lastly, I went back again, and I became a nurse practitioner. It's a acute care nurse practitioner, so I work in the hospital taking care of really sick, critically ill patients. And so I feel like that it's a calling for me. I've loved what I've done. I did love taking care of people. I still think that I do love taking care of people. But I'll be honest, working through the pandemia of it all was really hard. I could probably get emotional talking about it if I wanted to, but I'm not trying to cry in front of y'all yet. But it's kind of changed everything, and it's not the same, but it's different. And I changed careers a little bit. I was a nurse, and then I became a nurse practitioner. So I think I'm in like a really transition period. And I love my job, and I love taking care of people. And I've dedicated so much of my life to it that I can't imagine not doing it in some form of capacity. But yeah, so I don't know as far as my YouTube dream if I would do this full time. I mean, obviously, if the money was right, I would do this full time, and then I could go and do that part time or like as needed. And maybe that would make me feel better about everything that's went on the past like 4 years. But so essentially, I have no idea what kind of situation that YouTube can make for people. And then secondly is I think that I have a calling, and I think that I answered that calling with what I've chose to do with my life, and I don't think that I would ever give that up completely. So that is a very deep answer to your question. Okay, and I've almost got this done. Look at this beautiful Sodiroi. It's going to be so pretty. The only thing that I have left to do is to just secure it around the pole tighter so that the nodes are touching better than what they are. So I'm gonna do that real quick with you guys. And regarding the Q&A, I guess just let me know what you guys thought. I would love to answer more questions for you if you have them for me. You guys can continue to send me questions and I'll keep them. I'll screenshot them or something, and I will keep them for like another future Q&A if you guys enjoyed this one, of course. So that way, maybe the next one it can have more questions, or it can be longer, or whatever you guys like. Being new to YouTube, I plan on getting like better equipment, and right now I'm just recording on my phone and that type of stuff, but eventually, as you know, time goes by and I feel like maybe I'm getting better at this, because like I said, there's quite a bit of insecurity that goes into this. Like, you have to really figure out what you like to do and what you like to say and how you like to talk, and like some people don't like the sound of their voice, yada yada yada. There's just all kinds of things. So I think that that's the plan. Ooh, that worked out better than I thought. So what I did was I put like saran wrap around the node, hoping that that would help keep it to the moss. And then I put some plant Velcro over top of it because it was still not completely touching, and then it tightened up and it is touching now. So all I have to do is water my moss pole. I'll do that off camera, and then I will kind of show you where I set all these plants and how they look potted up and stuff. So you guys can see what we did together here over the Q&A. Okay, so I came to the plant room. It's nighttime right now, so my grow lights are not on. I turned this light on and I turned that bright Barina on. But this is where the Decursive is gonna live. You see how it's pointed towards me? I'm hoping it'll continue to crawl towards me. And this is where I keep a lot of my props. So this is where it lived when it was in its stratum. And I'm hoping that it continues to like this light. And if it grows too tall, I'll move it, of course. But up potting it, I just didn't want to change too much of what it's used to. Eventually, I guess I could too bring it forward and leave it like horizontal like that. It's kind of pretty doing that. But we're gonna see how it likes it. I'm gonna blast it with some light. And then here is the Sigillatis. I can never remember what it's called, but it's an Aleca pond mix. Here's another leaf. I don't know if you can see, but and then I put it, instead of like in a cash po, just on a tray, because remember how I said this one kind of like to stay on the drier side? I didn't want the water to go up higher than where it's at. And I'm hoping that it'll dry out pretty fast because it's kind of like a small pot. But there's two cuttings, the one to the right and then the one to the left. And then you guys do not mind my plant room, because after that swap, it's been crazy in here. But here's where all my moss poles live that aren't like super tall. And then I put the little Sodiroi down here because I'm not like super sure. The 2 leaves that it's put out for me are those 2 on top, and they're beautiful. They have not been under these lights, which are pretty strong. They've been off to a corner somewhere, but where I uppotted it, I wanted it to have some strong light, at least for now, and I'm going to monitor whether or not this is enough light for it or not. That's why I didn't put it up here with the other poles, because I think this one's going to benefit from not receiving light that is that harsh, but I will keep you guys posted. I'm going to make sure that that pole is watered through. I did water it, but I need to like check it, make sure that it is watered all the way through. But yeah, those are the 3 plants that we did today together during the Q&A. Okay guys, so that's all that there is today for the Q&A video. I really appreciate you guys coming to watch here at Kentucky Plant Daddy. I'm going to put my Instagram stuff down below like I always do. So please subscribe here on YouTube and please follow me on Instagram. You guys can go ahead and start commenting questions in the comment section here or over on Instagram. You can send me a message and we can do a future Q&A. I'll keep your questions. We won't do them for a while, but it can be for in the future for any questions that you have for me. The next video is going to be a September favorites video. I try to do it every month, and basically whenever I do my favorites videos, it's not saying that they're like my favorite plant, but they're giving me like the most rewarding growth, and that's why they're the favorite this month. And so I'm going to do a September favorites video next. Another idea that I have, and you guys can kind of tell me whether or not it's of interest to you, is I thought about going into like a semi-hydroponics video on leca and pon, and more importantly, I guess like the fertilizer, because you guys have seen me pot up using leca and pon numerous times, but you guys don't know how I prepare my fertilizer for my semi-hydroponic plants. And then another video that I'm going to do is I'm going to do a like spotlight video on my Philodendron Sodiroi. That is the no ID philodendron that I had in my earlier videos, and I like didn't know what it was, and my friend Candace had gifted it to me and she didn't know what it was, and she thought it was a hybrid plant, but we have finally identified it as a Philodendron Sodiroi, and there's not a whole lot of information out there. I can't, find a lot of pictures of it on Instagram using the hashtag Philodendron Sodiroi, and there aren't, like when I checked on Etsy, there were none available. So I think that it's a pretty cool plant to do a spotlight on. There's also not any videos that I can find on YouTube about it. So I think that it would at least be worth doing a spotlight video on that particular plant because it's beautiful, it's very rewarding, and I think more people should know about it and have it. But you guys, please like this video and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for coming to Kentucky Plant Daddy, and I'll see you guys in the next video.